In a world where the allure of chocolate captivates millions, where innocence is often wrapped in colorful packages, there lies a hidden story few dare to tell. Behind Nestle's shiny foil and familiar logo, behind the sweetness that has melted in our mouths for generations, a shadowy story and disturbing truth hidden. This is the story of a corporate giant and its unsettling reality that has been concealed for too long and which the world was never meant to see. Whispers of child slave labor, aggressive marketing of infant formula killed babies, sucking the earth dry, and haunting echoes about working with dictators that the world has long turned a blind eye to. Now, the journey began in 1866 when Henry Nestle, a visionary from Germany, founded Nestle in the charming town of Vevey, Switzerland, focused on life-saving milk-based baby nourishment. Their pioneering product, Farine Lactée, a groundbreaking powdered infant formula, was an answer to the troubling high infant death rates of the era. It wasn't just a product, it was a revolution in infant nutrition. But sadly, that infant product turned out to be a baby killer rather than a lifesaver. In the 1970s, Nestle hatched a plan. They sent people, dressed like nurses, to hospitals in poorer countries. Their job? Not to help, but to push Nestle's baby formula on new mothers. They gave families a free can of formula. Now, the water in these areas, needed to make the formula, was dirty and unsafe. Many families didn't know this, or that they had to boil it. Plus, the formula was pricey. Many parents used too little, making their babies go hungry, going back to natural breastfeeding. By then, it was often too late. The result was heartbreaking. Nearly 1 million babies dying every year. People got angry, and many stopped buying Nestle products in the late 70s and early 80s. Nestle did stop the Nurse Act, but tried to shift the blame. They said the real issue was the lack of clean water. And then, they tried to sell bottled water. Years later, in 2017, another scandal. 6 Nestle workers bribed Chinese hospitals for patient info to push their formula even more. And when a dodgy formula method, linked to Nestle, caused the death of 6 babies in China. The punishment was severe for those involved, but it left many questioning Nestle's practices. Apart from the baby powder, Nestle's chocolate are also the product of child slaves' tears and sweat. Kids in West Africa are out there, using dangerous tools, breathing in toxic sprays, and carrying heavy bags, all for pennies. Back in 2001, Nestle promised to stop using kids in the worst ways on their cocoa farms in just 4 years. But surprise, surprise, they couldn't do it. They say it's too hard to know which farms they buy from. In 2005, some brave kids took Nestle to court. They said they were tricked and forced to work on these cocoa farms. The big US court said, nope, not our problem, because it happened in another country. And here's the kicker. Nestle's lawyers had the nerve to say that if companies in the past, like those involved in the Holocaust, weren't blamed, then why should Nestle be? Every bite of chocolate now leaves a question. How bitter is the truth behind it? Now, Nestle's water game is shady, to say the least. They're one of the world's biggest bottled water sellers, and they're draining the planet dry. Let's take Pakistan. Ever since Nestle set up shop to bottle its pure life water there, the ground's water has gone down, down, down. And what's left? Dirty and dangerous water for the locals. Jump over to sunny California, where water is already a big issue. While other businesses moved away during the water shortage, what did Nestle do? Their top boss basically said he'd take even more from California's San Bernardino National Forest if he could. Here's the catch. No one knows how much water they're taking. But they've been sneaking water since 1988 without the right papers and paying just $524 yearly to look the other way. And guess what? It's thought they take about 1 billion gallons annually. And during the Flint water mess, Nestle was right there, paying only $200 a year to bottle a crazy amount from a nearby spot. Nestle has been playing two-faced games. In 2008, they admitted that they're not recycling most of their bottles, even though they've been shouting from the rooftops that they do. And after all the fuss, instead of fixing things in North America, they moved their focus elsewhere, like Brazil, where they sketchily get water for Perrier, and China, where people now depend on bottled water because the regular water's either too polluted or, taken by Nestle. In addition to that, a massive 15% of Nestle's milk came straight from a farm owned by none other than the wife of Zimbabwe's notorious leader, Robert Mugabe. This is the same farm that was grabbed illegally while Zimbabwe's economy tanked. Human rights advocates have been sounding the alarm over Nestle pouring money into advertising on Belarus's state TV. This isn't just any TV. This is Europe's last dictatorship TV. And guess what? Every third ad on that channel is for a Nestle product. The same channel where brave voices against the regime are forced to admit to things they didn't do, all with Nestle's stamp of approval playing in the background. Who knew a chocolate bar could be so political? Last but not least, in the world of business, there will always be companies that push boundaries, but the tales of Nestle paint a picture that's hard to stomach. From questionable partnerships to exploiting the world's most vulnerable resources, the line between profit and ethical responsibility blurs. But it's time that the word and all of us ask ourselves, at what cost? The story of Nestle serves as a reminder that behind every familiar logo might lurk unsettling truths. And as consumers, the power to demand change rests in our hands. The next time we reach for a product, let's ensure we're not only nourishing our bodies, but also our conscience. And that wraps up today's video. We really hope you found it informative and learned something new. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to share them in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon if you haven't already, so you never miss out on our daily informative videos. Thanks so much for tuning in, and best of luck with all your endeavors.